Hello, lacrosse friends. Welcome to an abbreviated edition of Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. We are not recording a full show this week, but it's for a very, very good reason. Our fearless leader, maybe not fearless, but our leader, Greg Beecher, is finally getting the hip replacement surgery that he has needed for a long time. He has been a real trooper, has been dealing with a lot of pain, and we are all very, very happy for him. It does mean we can't tape the show this week. Tiny sacrifice to make sure that he is getting better. So we're all very excited for Greg and for Charity to not have to deal with him complaining about the hip anymore. But we are going to have a quick little snippet. 2 weeks ago, the weekend before last, I was calling the game in Albany, doing color commentary as Georgia was playing at Albany. And I got a great question on Twitter from Look at the Big Brain on Brad, which is a reference to one of my favorite movies in Pulp Fiction, so I loved it immediately. But he was asking about two goal reviews and how they looked very similar, but I was quite adamant that they were different. So we're going to look at the two of them just to explain some of the nuances of the crease rules. So that will be our episode as it is this week on ITWOBL, and then our leader will have a brand new fantastic hip, and we will be back and rolling for the final weeks of the NLL season here on ITWOBL. Here is the first play that we're talking about. It's going to be shot by Kyle Jackson that bounces. It was a crazy night for ricochets. Jackson's going to come down towards the crease, take a shot that will bounce off Brett Dobson, off of the defender, I think it's Mike Manley, and into the net. This is Jackson receiving this pass. Great footwork. The first couple of steps, he avoids the crease, gets the shot off. Albany is very excited about this goal, wearing their Wolverine, yeah, those are Wolverine jerseys, very yellow. Here's the catch, out of the crease, takes the shot. The shot's on the way to the net. Now, let's back it up a few frames there if you can, Greg. Just back it up just as the ball leaves the stick. A little bit further. There's bouncing. Okay, so the ball is coming out of the stick. The left foot is coming down and stop. Right there, the left foot starts to touch the crease. If it isn't quite touching yet, it is about to touch. The ball is on its way towards Brett Dobson. So this is a live play. It's the continuing play at this point, and Jackson steps in the crease. As soon as that happens, that's no goal. It doesn't matter if the ball bounces off of Manley because he is in the crease before the shot hits the goalie while he's taking the shot. You run it through, you see it bounces off. And I was a little glib on the broadcast. I said to Dan Ball, who's doing play-by-play, I said, "Oh, Jackson stepped on the crease. That's no goal. What else do you want to talk about?" Which was a little bit glib, but it was pretty clear. And I think Albany and Coach Glenn Clark were fairly upset for a bit, and then they saw the replay, and I'm sure they understood why this was no goal. Ryan Fowler's going to go in with Josh Hiltz. They'll take a look at this, and I go on about Herbie John being a beauty for a bit, which he is. He's an absolute beauty. And then we get the view, and this, I think, is where I just said, right there, freeze it. Foot on the goal line, on the crease. Ball not to the goaltender yet. And I know from up above, it's hard to tell if the foot is on the crease, but you can see from the other angle that the foot had touched down on the crease right there where it is highlighted. So that is clearly no goal. Doesn't matter what happens with the ball afterwards. It's a dead play as soon as that happens. So we can go ahead and roll on to the next one, which is kind of similar. You can see Glenn Clark wasn't very happy about it in that case, but as we watch the next play, you're going to see Sean Williams drive down towards the net, takes this shot. Quite a while before the ball goes in, and there's some general confusion, and this one was hard to tell for a bit, but as soon as we see the replay, we're going to get a sense of why. And the difference here, Williams takes the shot, he is up in the air over the crease. He's got one foot outside the crease, the other is above the ground in the crease. And then we're going to see the ball will hit the goaltender, Brett Dobson. And once it hits Dobson, that's a reset. So here he's in the air, ball hits Dobson in the mask. Again, it's not a huge time gap, but it definitely hits Dobson before Williams touches down. If we can freeze it as it's going to touch his mask. Here comes the shot. Boom, hit the face. You can see, great stop there. Great pause. The foot is up off the ground. And then as the play continues, you see his foot come down. Now, he's got to establish both feet outside. He does, and then the ball goes in. Again, it's actually pretty close towards the end, which is why this one took a little while. If we just run it back, oh, this is going to be a good one. So there's a shot. It hits. He's still in. There's 1 foot out. The right foot has to come down. The right foot's down on the turf, and the ball is not in, and then it goes in. So again, it's close, but it's clear that that's a good goal because the ball hitting the goaltender is a reset of the shot clock, and that is why it's okay for him to then land in the crease as long as he gets through the crease and out with both feet established outside. If a player's laying down in the crease, he's got to roll out and get himself his body established outside. If he's standing in the crease, got to get both feet outside the crease. So that is the difference, a subtle difference. But when you get used to watching it, you'll be just as confident as I was when these things are happening, that you can be clear on what happened. And that's, but they got the call. The officials got the call right in both cases on the review, and it was well done. And obviously important because it was a overtime game or a 1-goal game. That one, the overtime was this past weekend, but 1-goal game with Dyson Williams scored that goal and eventually scored the winner on the power play in the final minute. That is it this week on Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. All our best wishes going out to Greg for a successful hip replacement and recovery. We have no idea what kind of mood he's going to be in next week when we record the show, but I'm sure he'll be on his way to being much happier with his pain level reducing and his mobility returning. We're very happy for him, and we're glad to see you all this week briefly on Inside the World of Box Lacrosse.